sometimes you tend to send the expectations too high, and that can sort of derail the best of intentions. So I think that, would that be fair to say that both sides have shown a reassuring sense of pragmatism in dealing with the relationship?
That's right. It has to be a friendship built on respect, and respect requires that you find solutions that both sides can feel good about. I would suggest that, exactly as you said, low-hanging fruit is important. Both sides need to go home and show their people that there's a win, that there's something to be gained in the long term from deepening this relationship. But you start with success, and then you grapple with the issues where we have reasonable disagreements.
You know, that's been the approach right through this visit. And I think if you judge the visit, Shiv, look at what happened in New York, where Narendra Modi clearly wowed the Indian-American community. And I think what he's done with President Obama is at least established some kind of a platform, a basis now for the bureaucrats and the diplomats on both sides to take this relationship forward. And I think that's a good sign. You know, it's been short of drama here in Washington, which is good. And I think rather than the theatrics, both sides have tried to focus on the nitty-gritty of substantive issues. And I think that makes this a positive, certainly. And I think Narendra Modi can go back with a look of satisfaction that he's achieved his mission America.
I would be very satisfied if I was Prime Minister Modi. This visit has been a success. He gets to go back to India showing that he has the respect of the President of the United States. He has the respect of Indian American communities. He met with the top CEOs in this country. On the other hand, in this press statement today, he's also suggested that there will be solutions quickly for the food security concerns, that there will be a renewed effort to deal with the nuclear liability issues. Those have to have tangible results. The honeymoon is over. The question is, how quickly can we now begin to see the fruits of this new relationship?
Okay, that's a good way to end. I think the honeymoon is over. Now we must see the fruits of the relationship really being built on by both sides. I think that really, and I think 2 points, both on the civil nuclear technology deal and food security, the concerns that the Americans have been registered. The question is whether the two sides now can work hard on building this relationship, not allowing the odd obstacle to derail the idea that we are partners, that we are friends, that we are allies. So my sense is that if you looked at the glass today, I think the glass is more half full than half empty. I think Narendra Modi can claim justifiably that his mission America has been relatively successful. I wouldn't say it's been a 100% success or there's been a major breakthrough, but clearly he's achieved a degree of warmth with the American relationship, importantly with the American people. And I think from that point of view, atmospherics absolutely first rate. And I think it will take some time before we get tangible results, but clearly the stage has been set to push this relationship forward. So all in all, the glass half full on this warm day here in Washington, where it's just about time to have lunch and a glass of orange juice. And I can tell you that the Prime Minister will be having lunch with the US Vice President Joe Biden, then meeting a few congressmen, and then he's got a final meeting with the US-India Business Council before he heads back home. So he's got still a packed schedule, a little bit more to do, but clearly I would say Mission America has been a success as far as Prime Minister Modi is concerned.
Okay, Rajdeep, stay with me. I'm going to try and get some reactions in from GVL and Sanjay Jha, who continue to remain with us also, Mr. Mohammad Salim. Sanjay Jha, the glass half full, mission accomplished, given the huge burden of expectations on this trip, the massive atmospherics that have surrounded this entire visit. Okay, we're going to go back to Rajdeep for a moment. We've lost that line with Sanjay Jha. Rajdeep, you were saying that, you know, after this particular meeting, we're going to get a copy in just a short while of that joint statement where we'll get many more details of what, you know, the two leaders have actually agreed on, the specifics of what they've agreed on, because obviously it'll be much longer than, you know, the stuff that Narendra Modi actually mentioned. Interestingly, President Obama didn't speak, Rajdeep. Was there anything odd about that? Are you hearing, you know, why he didn't have anything to say in front of the cameras?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think we should sort of see that as some kind of a setback or was, you know, I think we need a more detailed joint statement before we know exactly, the specifics that they've gone to. But we are getting flashes already of the joint statement. I wouldn't read too much into the fact that President Obama was not speaking at that joint statement or joint press conference. The very fact that the White House issued a rather warm vision statement, where they even spoke about reforming the Security Council, went a step further perhaps than previous statements have. That joint editorial today, and now the statement that has been released after the meeting. I think they've really set the ground rules for the engagement. In a manner that would suggest to me that both the countries are very clear that they need to build this partnership, that this is not a one-night stand. India and the United States cannot afford a one-night stand.
Yes.
The two largest democracies in the world need to do much more. There'll be a lot of hard work that will have to be done. And I think there'll have to be a patience on both sides. We've tended to be impatient in the past. The Americans have been impatient in the belief that India moves too slowly. India believes that the Americans demand too much too soon.
Yes.
And I think that the point that has been made, and I think that's reassuring, is that both sides have kept the differences aside. They've recognized them, but they've not overly focused on them.
Yes.
They've not allowed the differences to derail the genuine areas of convergence and warmth. And I think that's a positive sign.
Okay, that's a positive sign. Mission, in many ways accomplished, given the huge expectations from this particular meeting. Veena Sikri, I'd like to... Okay. All right, these are images from the Martin Luther King Memorial in Washington, D.C. Rajdeep continues to be with us. These are pictures, the very latest pictures of Prime Minister Modi and President Obama, who's accompanied him to the Martin Luther King Memorial, a fabulous monument there in Washington. Yes, Rajdeep.
I think that's important, that the Prime Minister is there at Martin Luther King's memorial. Symbolism is important in any relationship. Professor Nuruddin, we tend to sometimes as journalists be excessively cynical. But I think symbolism is important. What the Prime Minister did at Madison Square Garden the other day, I was told that not since the New York Knicks won the NBA many years ago has the Madison Square Gardens roared in that manner. That was more than 30 years ago. And today, the fact that the Prime Minister is there at Martin Luther King's memorial sends out a powerful signal. I mean, 2 days before Gandhi Jayanti, and I don't think there was a greater follower of the Mahatma than Martin Luther King. The other great one was Nelson Mandela. And India has often attached huge importance to these symbolic relationships, and I think that's important at a time when the two democracies need to remind themselves about how much we still share with each other.
I think that's right. I mean, atmospherics are important. This is a relationship that is on the world's highest stage. And so we'd like for there to be a good show. They've delivered that show. The specifics have to be left to those who worked and follow the lead of these two men. And whether or not they can do so in good faith to achieve the solutions the countries need is the real question. Mission America has been a success. I mean, the real challenge now for Prime Minister Modi is whether he can make Mission Delhi an equally good success. He's had successes in Japan. He's had successes when when the Chinese premier came to India. But can he deliver in Delhi at the Lok Sabha the kinds of reforms that will get the attention of the rest of the world? He has put India's concerns very clearly forward. He has asked President Obama to take seriously the visa concerns of Indian software companies and Indian service companies. Whether the US can reciprocate is an important thing that we need to keep an eye on. But just as importantly for India's sake is Prime Minister Modi's ability to get a very divided country at the end of the day still to agree on the major and difficult economic reforms that lie ahead.
I sometimes look at this, Shiv, and wonder where this Prime Minister gets his energy from. His energy has been remarkable. From the moment he's landed in this country, he's been out and about. I think he's going to finish 36 formal meetings at the end of the day. He's gone to the 9/11 Memorial. He's gone to the Martin Luther Memorial. He's having another round of meeting with business leaders here in Washington. He had power breakfasts with business leaders in New York. His energy levels, I mean, I'm wilting in the in the autumn heat of Washington, almost being reminded of Delhi. And here you've got the Prime Minister. Obviously, it helps when you drive around in your Mercedes air-conditioned car. But still, I think, one thing is clear. He's remarkably energetic. Whatever else, Narendra Modi is or is not, his sheer levels of energy. I mean, whether you call him Karma Yogi, he says he's just taken 15, he told me he's taken 15 minutes off that he's had since he's become Prime Minister, or 15 hours off. The fact is he's out there all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, from the time he's landed to the time he's going to leave, he's packed this visit with meetings. He doesn't want to lose a single opportunity to meet any of the stakeholders involved. He's met business leaders, he's met congressmen, he's met the president, he's met the Indian American community. And for me, one of the unforgettable moments of this visit, Shiv, has been when he went to Central Park.
Yes.
I mean, there in Central Park, I was going to see Sting, perform at a rock concert. And lo and behold, what happens? You have Narendra Modi and you have Hugh Jackman coming in and greeting and introducing Narendra Modi. The man's energy is insatiable.
Yes.
And I think that energy level is something which makes him so attractive to this nation. This is a country which likes energetic leaders. The Americans like the can-do spirit. And Modi, I think, at one level epitomizes that. I think that is an important factor. So apart from the fact that there will be these differences on trade, on investment, on the civil nuclear deal, which are not going to be resolved overnight,
yes,
I think the sheer energy that Modi has brought to the Prime Minister's office will make him so attractive. I've got someone who's been accompanying Mr. Modi right through this is Zafar Sareshwala. He's joining us. Tell us, the Prime Minister, how has he seen this entire visit? You've been following him, you've been with him throughout the visit. Has he achieved what he set out to do, Mission America?
Yeah, I think he's extremely happy. And I also feel that, right from New York when he came, in fact, when we came, Prime Minister was not there. We, addressed that institutional conference there. And then when he came to New York, he met the
What's the highlight? What's the highlight for you?
I think the highlight is today's joint press conference. This is the icing on the cake.
This is the icing on the cake. But many would say that I was just saying, where does Narendra Modi get all his energy from? I mean, what do you all his friends give him some energy tablets? The man just seems to be on there all the time.
Yes. I mean, that we have seen, Rajdeep. We have seen him during the campaigning of those 12 months. This man used to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, would be in the aircraft. I mean, I travel for 3 days. The fourth day I cannot do. This man had been traveling continuously, visiting 4 or 5 cities.
No jet lag for Narendra Modi.
No jet lag for Narendra Modi. 11 o'clock he would reach home, again 5 o'clock in the plane. So this man he's workaholic. I mean, that all we have seen. So I think this is the very good achievement which has happened now today.
Okay, so I think Narendra Modi's supporters are also happy. Remember, this visit really takes place against the backdrop of the fact that he spent more than a decade not getting that visa. And right through this entire visit, he's not even raised that issue once. Maybe obliquely in that Madison Square Garden speech once. But apart from that, I think he's decided, छोड़ो कल की बातें पुरानी. आओ मिलते हैं, आओ लिखते हैं मिलकर नई कहानी. In a sense, hum Hindustani or hum Amriki. Remember, yesterday's anthem was hum sab saath saath chale. So I think there's a genuine attempt on both sides to set aside differences, focus on areas of convergence. And I think that's a positive. I think both these countries have realized that pragmatism is the way forward. This is a pragmatic country. India can be a pragmatic country. We sometimes get caught in romanticism. But I think Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to his credit on this visit, has shown a reassuring degree of pragmatism. He knows the limits of India's power. And I think the good point that Professor Nuruddin made, it's all very well to conquer America. You need to conquer Delhi. The Prime Minister needs to win Mission Delhi. He's going to have to go to the Rajya Sabha, get in reforms. He's going to have to do a budget in February that's imaginative. He's going to have to do the hard work in Delhi. He can do what the atmospherics were great here, I think, in Washington, but the real hard work, the nitty-gritty, will have to be done back home.
All right, reassuring degree of pragmatism that's been shown by Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister, on his maiden visit as Prime Minister to the United States. Will he be happy with everything he's been able to achieve, given several limitations in relations between India and the United States? Issues that are contentious, including the civil nuclear deal, as well as food security and World Trade Organization issues did figure, but both sides have signaled a level of commonality and cooperation in solving both these problems that have remained stalled for many years and have the potential to create further hurdles going forward. I want to go straight across now to Rahul Kanwal, Managing Editor, also live with us from Washington, D.C. Rahul, a brief sort of, a public event by President Obama and Prime Minister Modi, where only Prime Minister Modi sort of listed many of the things that are there in that joint statement. We're awaiting a greater level of detail of the number of agreements that have been signed, the number of areas where cooperation, has been agreed upon. What are you hearing, Rahul?
We are currently, Shiv, inside the US State Department. Right behind me, the American Foreign Ministry will be briefing on what emerged from this meeting. That will happen in a short while from now. As of now, there's a lunch that is planned, and after the lunch, that's when this briefing will take place. What is interesting is, you said that Martin Luther King Memorial meeting wasn't planned. That's not actually true. We've been hearing about it for the past 3 or 4 days, which is why yesterday the plan was changed. Earlier, the Martin Luther King Memorial tribute was supposed to happen in the morning, but then they decided to do it after the meeting with President Obama. This is something that's been in the works in Washington for the last couple of days. They wanted to see how the summit level dialogue went. Yesterday the plan got firmed up, and that's how this public moment took place. Remember, it's very special because this is not something that the president does very often. He stepped out with Prime Minister Modi in an attempt to signal how special he believes the India relationship is, and that is what this has been all about. First, there was a huge party taking place, which we'd been reporting on the front lawns of the White House. Even the substance as it emerges shows, and in that sense, Shiv, this is really a true friendship. This is really a natural partnership, as it were. In diplomacy, sometimes these sound like cliches, but the reality is, if there are two countries which are naturally aligned or have affinity towards each other,
yes,
especially given the number of Indians who work here in the United States, it's India and America, much more than, say, India and China, for example. And that now playing out. Apart from, people will ask, the color was very high, the atmospherics were very solid. How was the substance? Well, it seems on substance as well, the meeting seems to have delivered. I'm joined by Tejinder Singh, one of the leading Indian American journalists reporting out of Washington. We are currently live at the US State Department, the only Indian media station to be here. Tejinder, give our viewers a sense of who will be doing the briefing and what can our viewers expect.
Today the briefing will be done by Jen Psaki, who is the chief spokesperson of the State Department, because Secretary Kerry is here. Actually, just now, as you saw on the live shot, the preparations are being made. Tables are all set to welcome Mr. Modi for a lunch with Secretary of State Kerry and Vice President Biden. And after the lunch, as soon as the lunch is over, Psaki will be here and will be briefing us, giving us...
You were at the White House this morning. You've seen several other state visits as well. How does Modi's visit compare with previous Indian Prime Ministers whom you've seen at the White House and with other world leaders who come calling?
It's strange because they do not have an equation yet till yesterday. They met for the first time. It was, as they said, breaking the ice, but
they didn't break bread. There's only nimbu pani and honey.
Yeah, and the best part of that is that it seems that they immediately had a very good rapport, and if you remember Manmohan Singh, it was more the Manmohan Singh, the professor, who had a lot of respect from Obama for his academic and all that. But this time it is the political leadership of India that is being given the respect, and Obama is actually looking forward to. And it's strange because when they talk together, they exchange notes about their first few months in office, and there was a lot of similarities which they found. How they are, it's a broken systems, trying to fix the system, and Modi is not like what we hear very often. It's either my way or highway. The Modi is listening. He forms his views, but he does listen. That's what the White House people are thinking. And
you were at the White House this morning. Describe to our viewers what you saw around you.
Actually, the White House, that preparations actually were mind-blowing. There were soldiers from all different, like Air Force, Army, Navy, who were brought in, and they gave that, the walk from the northern gate to the outside the West Wing, where the...
Does that happen usually?
No, it's not. It's when Manmohan Singh came, it did not happen. And it happens, it's a very rare occasion when that guard of honor is given. And they were practicing since 8 o'clock in the morning, and and then when...
The other thing seems to be that it's all a vegetarian fare. They're keeping in mind the Navratri sensibilities as well. White House, no beef, no chicken, no meat. It's mostly only vegetarian.
Yes, it is very vegetarian, very healthy food. Mrs. Obama is very happy about it. And I would like to take this opportunity to tell our viewers that Mrs. Obama was traveling. She was out of town campaigning for a governor candidate, Mary, in Milwaukee. So that's why she could not attend. It's a, the November is coming and it's a political action time.
Big elections planned.
Yeah.
They're also bonding over yoga. I think yoga is something Modi's taken up in a big way. The governor of Maryland who came this morning, we were speaking to his officers. He said that the Prime Minister said yoga unites us and we must, you must become healthy. So the Prime Minister is also not just listening and wanting to know what you want, he's also giving them his own sense of what the Americans should be doing.
Yeah, I think more than once I have heard him, I think was it in the dinner, in the dinner in New York, at the where he said terrorism divides and tourism unites.
He said the same thing at CFR yesterday.
Yeah, and then again at the about the yoga, he has been saying that he used to practice a lot of yoga, but because of his fasting, he's brought it down. But he's still doing Shwashasan a lot to, and it's amazing his energy. Like you have been watching it. Like
we're knackered.
Yeah.
From waking up just to cover him early in the morning till late into the night, and this man is not just present during the meetings, he's not getting a moment off, and he's applying his mind to be able to answer all the questions that are being asked.
Yes, and the Americans actually believe what they see, or they believe when you tell them something. So as an American, I can tell you that he's amazing.
What impression do you think he's left on the people in the State Department whom he's spent some time with and those in White House?
They are just dumbfounded, and the word that's very much used in US from young kids to the old people is when they like something, they say awesome. So he is awesome.
Okay, just stay with me. I want to go across to Gaurav Sawant. He's joining us. Our taxi passed him by when he was at the memorial for Martin Luther King. Gaurav, describe to our viewers that moment and the level of enthusiasm amongst all the Indians who gathered around the Martin Luther King memorial to catch a glimpse of two political superstars. You got Obama on the one side and Modi on the other. Gaurav.
Two political superstars who came into office carrying burden of hope, and both of them came to their inspiration. This memorial, the Martin Luther King Jr. memorial here, President Barack Obama was not scheduled to accompany Prime Minister Narendra Modi here, but Prime Minister Modi had to change his schedule so that Barack Obama could accompany him. The two of them could come together. They came here, they walked down the memorial, they spent some time together here. In fact, last night at that Kemcho Mr. Prime Minister icebreaker at White House, Prime Minister Narendra Modi presented US President Barack Obama a rare picture of Martin Luther King when it come to India in 1959, was at Rajghat, and also a rare recorded speech of his. So that helped the two of them bond. They bonded further here. And one of the big takeaways is one of India's key concerns on terror, counter-terror and intelligence was addressed by the United States of America here with this ban on Lashkar-e-Taiba finances and the Harkatul Mujahideen here, Rahul.
Okay, and that's interesting. The fact that three key members, the key financiers, operation masterminds of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, Tejinder, now being blacklisted and American sanctions against them as well, shows that America is prepared to join India in this partnership. But Gaurav, what are your sources in the MEA telling you about why no action was taken against Hafiz Saeed? Was there any decision or discussion on that issue? Because you've got a bounty against him. It's a commitment for both countries to try and bring him in, but America is not pushing to bring down Hafiz Saeed the manner in which they pushed for, say, Osama bin Laden. Will we see that attitude change to any extent at all, Gaurav?
That was the key question that I'd posed to the national security team that's engaging with the United States here. And, that would be the icing on the cake. Rome wasn't built in a day. This relationship between India and America that was stagnant over several years. Now there's a renewed push. The relationship is being rebooted. Some of India's key concerns are being gradually addressed, not perhaps as fast as India would want them to be addressed, especially on the issue of terror and counter-terror. what India is insisting on is go after the terror finances, squeeze Lashkar-e-Taiba, ensure they don't have access to funds. The thinking now, even in the Indian camp, or at least what the Americans are telling Indians, is you take out one Hafiz Mohammad Saeed, there'll be another Hafiz Mohammad Saeed who will come in his place. There'll be a third, a fourth, a fifth. So the effort is, once you put Zakir Rehman Lakhvi in jail, the operations commander of Lashkar-e-Taiba, he's in jail. Hafiz Saeed will be under close scrutiny. Kill the funds of this terror, kill the ground this terror breeds in. That is the effort. Hafiz Saeed would automatically die the moment he's like fish out of water. That is the effort from the Indian side and the American side.
Too many Indians who are locked in poverty into a situation in which their lives can improve.
Okay, interesting that the Americans coming together against the Lashkar-e-Taiba key financiers, although nothing quite sure about whether they'll go after Hafiz Saeed or not. How much of a pressure was there from America to try and bring India on board, Tejinder, on fighting the ISIL?
The most important thing that now because now the visit is on, so I can talk about it. About a week ago, I was talking to one of the top officials, and I was told that all this talk about finances, economy and all, but also wait what happens on because they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to tell their enemies that what we are planning. So there may not be a lot of declarations, but there's a lot that's going on. And as you can see, that Modi is a no-nonsense man. If he says he's going to help, he's going to help. And Obama is also, it seems that Obama has found an ally, a friend, and it's like electrifyingly immediate they have got connected. And as you have seen in the UN...
Do we know whether Obama got to hear of or see the Madison Square Garden speech? What did he make of it?
Again, that we are not, it's not something on the record. So I think that question can be best answered by Josh Ernest. And the important thing to note is that Obama has been watching. All the whole departments have been looking at that how the Modi, and remember when we had a background conference call from the White House on the day the Modi was supposed to arrive at 10 o'clock in the morning. In that it was mentioned that Modi is coming here with a, he's got this mandate, he's got a substantial mandate, and he's coming by the people of India. So he is representing a big majority in India. And after, that even Modi has said that you have been waiting for 30 years for a strong government. And now, as he says, small government, good governance, there is much more is going to be achieved than is meeting the eye.
You think more will come? We haven't heard the specific nuances of what was discussed. That, of course, will happen here at the State Department press briefing, where Headlines Today is the only channel to be reporting out of. Currently, there's a lunch on, hosted by Joe Biden, the Vice President, also by the Secretary of State. So what we're going to do is just take you back to our studios. We will return live to the State Department inside in Washington, D.C. Very quickly once people start assembling and we get set for this big State Department press briefing to find out specifically from America's perspective at least what emerged in this big meeting. Shiv?
Thanks, Rahul. Continue to stay with me. We're going to get back to you in just a moment. Rahul Kaval, Rajdeep Sardesai, Gaurav Savant reporting live from Washington. We've got the best reporting team on the ground, moving between all of those places to get you the best live pictures, the live breaking news and analysis with the best guests right here on Headlines Today. Narendra Modi nearing the end of his US visit, but he still has many more items on his agenda through the day today. I want to get that information for you from our editor, Strategic Affairs, Gaurav Savant, who's been traveling commando-like right through Washington, D.C., following the Prime Minister everywhere, getting us the very latest on what's happening both from within the White House and each of those agenda points that are going to be met right through today. Gaurav, after the visit to the memorial, there's a lunch with Vice President Joe Biden, which will be starting in a short while from now. And there's also a few meetings with US congressmen and the India Business Council, Gaurav. Tell us more about that.
That meeting is extremely crucial. Of course, this lunch by Vice President Joe Biden and Secretary Kerry is once again India and America get to compare notes, talk more about cooperation. If we were to specifically talk about the field of cooperating in terror, let me tell you from what sources are telling us, America is very keen to get India on board to cooperate in this war against the ISIL. And there are two very important aspects to this. One is ground operations, where India a little reticent just as yet. The other is de-radicalization of youth in India, Pakistan, across Europe, in the United States of America. Israel, India and the United States are working on a project to de-radicalize Muslim youth from joining the ISIL, from joining the Lashkar-e-Taiba, from joining the Al-Qaeda and assorted terrorist groups. And this is being seen as a franchisee network. Terrorism today is not one big company.
Yes.
It leases terror to all these little franchisees. That's the word that the Americans have used. And the effort is to ensure that these franchisees are killed. Getting Hafiz Saeed perhaps not as much on their agenda as is squeezing funds to Lashkar-e-Taiba so that Hafiz Saeed is then fish out of water. So that's the kind of operations that they hope to move on in the times to come. That's one aspect of the story. The second aspect, and a very important aspect, is the business aspect. Through New York, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was trying to get American business to invest in India. He is once again going to be salesman Narendra Modi, telling the American business houses, we are open to business. Our rules are simple. No longer 32-page forms that go through 32 offices and yet no clearances come. We are trying for single window clearances. We are trying for one-page forms, and we are trying for easier clearances, Shiv.
Gaurav, just stay with me on the precise issue that you were talking about just now.